Alrighty team, we're gonna need bigger ideas. We're gonna need our market shares up. We're gonna think more globally. Does anybody have a bigger idea for this company?
Yeah, I actually got one idea. I prepared a PowerPoint. Would you mind if I just go ahead and, take over?
Alright, please proceed.
All right, thank you, Ms. CEO, for giving me the floor here today. Now, who are we at New Belgium? Well, we're a strong and collective culture. We're local oriented, and we have an extensive and rich history in craft brewing. We've taken considerate market share from our competitors, and now we're fourth largest craft brewery in the country. So where do we go from here? Well, we could shoot for number one in the States, or we can shoot for number one in the world. We already distribute to all of the 50 states, so the only logical next step is to go international. Now, what I've done is a lot of research, and what I believe to be the best market is South Africa. This may seem to be a bit of an odd choice, but stick with me through this PowerPoint, and I guarantee you I'll have you convinced by the end. So let's get the basics out of the way, shall we? Let's first assess our strengths and opportunities on the SWOT analysis. I believe we have some significant advantages, with most importantly being our incredible group of people here at New Belgium. You'll be hard pressed to find a group of individuals that really care about the company and just want as badly to succeed. And this is what you need for an internationalization project like this one. Of course, this culture has given us some really great and experienced employees throughout the company, but this has also allowed for an employee-owned company. And this incredible team here at New Belgium has already brought us across the entirety of the United States. So I think it's time they're ready to take us international. Now, of course, that's easier said than done, but one of the distinct advantages is our resource and cash flow over the competition. Since South Africa is largely dominated by local breweries, we will have the opportunity to take considerate market share through our resource advantage alone. Basically, we can do beer bigger and better than the competition. South Africa has experienced massive growth in the craft brewery industry. In fact, breweries have nearly tripled since 2014. And while this may seem like a lot of competition, 83% of those craft brewers employ fewer than 5 people. So the majority of these establishments are small enterprises pressing out probably 100 bottles a day or so. And in terms of our sheer size, we have little competition, and this gives us the choice for a huge market share. Now, our biggest threat is going to be the high production costs associated with going international. Along with the inexperience of our international markets, we may have some rough waters ahead. At our current rate, our current export chain costs an additional 70% to the added price of New Belgium beer. And this is going to be a problem to compete with the lower priced local competitors. We're going to have to tighten up this distribution chain and really renegotiate this deal. Another problem we may face is a local preference in the market. South Africans take a lot of pride in their country, and if they show some resistance, it's going to be upon our initial entrance. This may be in the form of consumers or by smaller breweries that may find us a threat. Finding good real estate will also be a challenge. But I wanted to really highlight these threats and weaknesses to show how we can come up with ways to overcome them. So I've developed a market strategy that will do just that. So Africa is the fastest growing market for craft breweries in the world, more so than Europe, North America, and Asia. If we focus on South Africa alone, we'll be tapping into a budding industry ripe for the taking. As I said before, breweries have nearly tripled, bringing the total to almost 200 as of 2018. And this is largely because South Africa has a very young population. The weighted average is expected to be around 27 in 2020. And this brings a huge population within our target range of consumers, who are in general males aged 18 to 44. And that number comes out to be almost 15 million targeted consumers. Our initial strategy is to capture about 5% of this market through just exports alone, and this will create a consumer base big enough for the next phase. So the initial strategy will be a non-equity type. This is primarily going to be done in Cape Town and Johannesburg, where the majority of these consumers live. A non-equity includes direct exports to the country. Through exporting, we'll be able to dip our toes into an international community before completely diving in. And this will allow for our managers to gain experience while helping to create brand awareness in the country. Now, once we've created an established base, we'll be able to move on to phase 2 in the country, and that is to expand into a greenfield investment, which is quite simply a brewery. Creating a permanent brewery is crucial to the international success in South Africa. Not only does a brewery give us a larger control in the overall process, but it also gets rid of the trade restrictions, which means we'll be able to cost the beer at a much lower rate. Now, lowering the price will open up a new batch of consumers that were previously unable to afford it. And we can also collaborate with other breweries. And if we are able to do so, we'll be able to do this even better. Co-marketing would be a mutually beneficial relationship between breweries. This would certainly help create goodwill within the community, but an alliance with a well-established brewery would create additional exposure and create a significant market share for us. So now that we've established a market, and how are we going to manage our product? Well, initially, we won't change much because for the export phase, the product will essentially stay the exact same. And this is like kind of our test phase. Once we gather enough data on consumer preference, comments, and concerns, we can gradually transition to a more localized international strategy. But before all this, we need to know more about our consumers. During the export phase, the initial price will increase about 70%, and this is due to the added cost of the exports and trade. This will probably alienate a large portion of our markets, but going back to that market capture, we only need 5% to provide an initial base. For the greenfield investment, once we achieve that goal, we can lower our cost by at least 50% to around $8 to $10, which is actually a little less than what we currently charge here in the States. And this is partially in due because of the lower labor costs, but also it's to better compete with the lower priced competitors in South Africa. So of course, we want to get to that greenfield investment as fast as we can. And of course, we want to get to that in about 3 years or so. So lastly, I want to end this by how are we going to market this? How are we going to show people who we are as New Belgium? Well, one thing in our advantage is that we're already a highly recognizable brand, but we'll have to reintroduce ourselves in much of this new markets. Of course, we will use our size to our advantage, and with our diverse profile of beer, we'll be able to market as such. With more options to choose from, consumers will hopefully be enticed to try them all. Now, with this market, we'll be using the tried and true method of using corporate social responsibility to our advantage. Under what I call the Force of Good initiative, New Belgium will gain brand awareness by setting out to do good within the community. And that can be achieved by partnering with other breweries, creating eco-friendly products, and setting up conservation and sustainability programs within our reach. Using the power of goodwill, consumers will be hopefully impressed by this foreign company willing to do good in their community. For them, I believe kindness will go a long way in the long-term success in the country. And with that essentially covers everything I wanted to talk about today. I want to thank Miss CEO for giving me this opportunity to give this presentation. I hope you guys have a great day, and meeting adjourned.